Hello and welcome to NDTV 24/7. I'm Rohit Wellington. Let's begin with our top story. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan, reduced to a minority in the assembly and fighting to remain in power, on Thursday refused to resign, saying that he will fight till the last ball. Imran Khan alleged that there is a foreign conspiracy working against his government. There are also enemies inside the country who are cooperating with them. That's what Imran Khan said, who is in fact virtually lost majority in the 342-member National Assembly.
संडे को वोट दी जाएगी। इस संडे को इस मुल्क का फैसला होने लगा कि ये मुल्क किस तरफ अब जाएगा। मुझे लोगों ने, किसी ने कहा जी वो इमरान खान आप रिजाइन कर दें। मैं रिजाइन कर दूं? मैं जो मेरे साथ क्रिकेट खेलते थे वो सारी दुनिया 20 साल जो मैं खेली है, आखिरी गेंद तक मैं मुकाबला करता हूं। मैं कभी हार जिंदगी में नहीं मानी। मैं तो वोट का जो भी रिजल्ट हो जाए, आप देखेंगे कि मैं तो उसके बाद और ज्यादा तकड़ा होकर सामने आऊंगा, जो भी रिजल्ट हो। लेकिन मैं ये देखना चाहता हूं उस दिन, ये मैं चाहता हूं मेरी सारी कौम देखे कि कौन जाके अपने ज़मीर का सौदा करेगा वहां। कि अभी हमें 8 मार्च को या उससे पहले 7 मार्च को हमें एक अमेरिका ने एक बाहर से मुल्क ने, मैं नाम मतलब मेरा कि किसी और बाहर से मुल्क से हमें मैसेज आती है। ये है तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर के खिलाफ ही सिर्फ, लेकिन ये हमारी कौम के खिलाफ है। वो ये कहते हैं कि हमें, और एक बहाना मारते हैं कि हमें क्यों गुस्सा है पाकिस्तान पे, यानी अगर इमरान खान चला जाता है तो पाकिस्तान को माफ कर देते हैं, लेकिन अगर ये इमरान खान के खिलाफ फेल हो जाती है तो फिर पाकिस्तान को एक मुश्किल वक्त का सामना करना पड़ेगा।
Now, shifting focus to Sri Lanka. Amid Sri Lanka's worst economic crisis, hundreds of people gathered late on Thursday night to stage a protest near the president's residence in Colombo. Police were seen on the premises attempting to control the situation. There's a heavy security presence there. Water cannons were also used. People are protesting against the rising cost of living, gas shortage and fuel shortage. NDTV's Srija is on ground zero in Colombo and sent us this report.
We are just a few meters away, right outside President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence, and what we see right here is that over 500 to 1,000 people is what they have gathered right outside the president's house. In fact, trying to question the president as to what really has he done for the people of Sri Lanka, rather just sit and watch as the people of Sri Lanka suffer and just give out statements to media. So if I can bring to you this ground report right here to show you what's really happened over the past 1 hour or so. We've seen that the cops use water jets to disperse the crowd over here, and the mob who had gathered right outside onto the road that you see is the glass bottles completely shattered. Right now the situation is a very tense atmosphere that we are reporting from, the place that we are reporting from. Of course, the people over here, what we cannot really confirm at the moment is if all those who have gathered here, are they common man or are they in fact triggered by certain political parties of political interest. Now that is something that we cannot confirm. Also, we are getting information from our sources telling us that yes, of course, this cannot really be only just the people gathering at this one particular point. It could also be various other political parties of political interest who must have triggered the people to come right here and also stage protests. So various people trying to, in fact, we also did hear slogans where they're asking, demanding the resignation of the president for failing the people of Sri Lanka also not being, in fact, a leader. Other issues that we are, of course, looking at is the blackouts today. What we did see on ground was the people, in fact, facing blackouts for nearly, power cuts for nearly 13 hours. So this is a very unpredictable situation for people right here in Sri Lanka. But from the place that we are reporting from, you also have several people who have gathered here, in fact, carrying the placards that read "Enough is enough, Sri Lankans speak up, go home." Now, that is something that we are looking at the moment. Also, the people who have gathered here is basically they're trying to lay siege past the barricades, especially which is placed right outside the president's house. All that they are asking for is either the president or the government here fix the issues, fix the problem as soon as possible, or things, an indication of from the people, coming from the people, because this is the frustration that you're looking at, the frustration, the anger that's coming out of the people, also sending out signals and indication that things could get really worse. In Colombo, with camera person Govind Burthi, Shrija for NDTV.
Moving on, amid Ukraine war, there is a rush of diplomatic activity in India. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has landed in Delhi on Thursday, and British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss is also in Delhi, and she met Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar as part of a wider diplomatic push on the war in Ukraine. Mr. Lavrov, who is on a two-day India visit, will be meeting Prime Minister Modi on Friday. Meanwhile, Biden's sanctioned man, the Deputy National Security Advisor for International Economics, Dalip Singh, who is an Indian American, is also in New Delhi and met with Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla on Thursday. Russia has threatened to stop supply of gas to foreign countries unless they start paying for it in rubles. Putin has signed a decree stating that buyers must open ruble accounts in Russian banks starting Friday. Putin's demand is being seen as an attempt to boost the ruble, which has been hit by Western sanctions. Western companies and governments, meanwhile, have rejected Russia's demands, calling it a breach of existing contracts which are set in euros and US dollars.
Сегодня мною подписан указ, который устанавливает правила торговли российским природным газом с так называемыми недружественными государствами. Мы предлагаем контрагентам из таких стран понятную и прозрачную схему. Чтобы приобрести российский природный газ, они должны открыть рублевые счета в российских банках. Именно с этих счетов будет вестись оплата газа, поставленного начиная с завтрашнего дня, с 1 апреля текущего года.
Back home in Maharashtra, which suffered the worst from COVID, the state will now say goodbye to all pandemic-related restrictions from Saturday as Maharashtra welcomes the Marathi New Year. The use of masks will be advised, but it will not be compulsory. That's what the state government has said. The announcement of the lifting of restrictions was also made by the office of the Chief Minister, Uddhav Thackeray.
The fines, the penalties. For example, earlier if you weren't wearing a mask, you wouldn't be allowed to board a bus or you wouldn't be allowed to board a train. Those things, the penalizing factor in wearing masks is now going to end from Gudi Padwa, the Maharashtra New Year. The Chief Minister's office tweeted to say that from Gudi Padwa, all COVID restrictions are being lifted. Sir, आपसे जानना चाहेंगे, मास्क गुड़ी पाड़वा के दिन से पहनना जरूरी मैंडेट, मतलब आपको फाइन नहीं देना होगा, लेकिन सरकार का कहना है कि आप पहने रहिए. आपका क्या राय है?
होना चाहिए. मैंडेटरी नहीं हुआ तो अच्छा है, और मैंडेटरी होना भी नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि ऐसा प्रूव नहीं हो रहा है कि मास्क लगाने के बाद कुछ ये कोविड नहीं होता है, और मास्क अगर नहीं पहना तो कोविड होता है. ये प्रूव नहीं हुआ है. ये ट्रायल एरर पे उन्होंने डिसाइड किया है. ये दुनिया का जो उसूल है उसी हिसाब से हम लोग चल रहे हैं, लेकिन इंडिया में क्या चलता है और दुनिया में क्या चलता है अलग अलग है.
सर, आप योर व्यूज ऑन मास्क, आपका क्या मानना है?
मास्क आप ज़बरदस्ती मत कीजिए. जो भी पब्लिक का जो ये रहेगा, अगर उनको लगता है कि बाबा यहाँ पे भीड़ भाड़ है, मुझे मास्क पहनना चाहिए, वो पहन लेंगे. अगर कोई इधर वॉक के लिए आता है सुबह शाम, जब भी नेसेसरी नहीं है, तो उनको ज़बरदस्ती करना मुझे तो अच्छा नहीं लगता.
People are saying while it's not mandatory, that's a good thing. they'll wear it according to the situation.
And masks are also no longer mandatory in West Bengal from Saturdays. And now sources are telling NDTV that even Delhi will also review fines on people not wearing masks as COVID cases all India now fall to a 2-year low. Moving on, in a major outreach to northeastern states, Home Minister Amit Shah on Thursday announced that areas covered under the controversial law, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act in Nagaland, Assam and Manipur will be reduced after decades. Now, crediting the leadership of Prime Minister Modi for the move, he said that the improved security situation and fast-track development due to the consistent efforts and several agreements to end the insurgency and bring lasting peace in the northeast has made this possible. In a single tweet by the Home Minister, a major announcement: the footprint of the controversial Armed Forces Special Powers Act reduced in 3 northeastern states. A closer look reveals that this is a partial withdrawal. In Assam, AFSPA has been withdrawn in 23 districts. In Nagaland, it has been withdrawn in areas under 15 police stations in 7 districts. In Manipur, AFSPA has been withdrawn in areas under 15 police stations of 6 districts. The Home Minister pitched the rollback as a result of the improved security situation.
It's a historic moment for the people of northeastern region. Lots of efforts have been put in by Prime Minister Modi ji and Home Minister Amit Shah ji to bring peace and tranquility all along northeastern region. This shows that the era of peace and development has arrived in northeastern region in true sense.
But the move is seen as linked to the massive backlash after the army shot and killed 14 men in Nagaland last year in a botched operation. Regardless, chief ministers in the northeast welcomed the move.
This is one of the most bold initiative. It is one of the important initiative taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah, because it will send a signal to investor.
Others say the act should have been withdrawn a long time ago.
We demand to repeal totally this AFSA. This is anti-people, anti-democratic law, black law, so this should be definitely withdrawn.
This move by the centre is expected to create a positive momentum for the BJP in the region and also help pave way for fast-tracking the Naga peace talks as well as peace parleys with Ulfa. But the big question is, will the armed forces, who had prosecution immunity due to AFSPA in alleged extrajudicial killings, be now brought to justice? With Ratnadeep Chaudhary in Guwahati, Bureau Report, NDTV. Prices of petrol and diesel have been increased yet again for the 9th time on Thursday, accumulating to a total increase of 6 rupees 40 paise in the last 10 days. Both petrol and diesel prices have gone up 80 paise per litre on Thursday, calling for widespread criticism from the government by other political parties. Opposition parties allege that almost daily hike in fuel prices is also due to the fact that the government refrained from hiking prices for 4 months due to assembly elections in 5 states, despite crude oil prices going up.
Cylinders garlanded at the Congress protest, which started today and will continue for a week to highlight the rising fuel prices. Party MPs protested with empty cylinders and motorcycles near the parliament. The party plans to hit the streets in every district, trying to corner the BJP government over the increasing fuel prices. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, who led the protest before leaving for Karnataka, said,
"We can see that petrol and diesel prices are climbing rapidly. Government is making thousands and thousands of crores from this. Government has to stop doing this. This is hurting the poorest people in the country and it's hurting the middle class."
The BJP hit back, questioning the Congress over inflation and debt tenure.
जब इनके समय में महंगाई थी तो अंदरूनी कारण थे, लूट थी, लूट को 100% छूट थी। और नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने इन पिछले 2 सालों के संकट के समय में दुनिया में जो आर्थिक तंगी और मंदी के बावजूद भी भारत को उससे प्रभावित होने से बचाया। इनको जो है वो तर्कों की इनके पास कंगाली हो गई है।
Congress MPs raised the fuel price issue in the parliament as well, where the members of the party stormed the well of the Lok Sabha. Members of the Youth Congress in Chandigarh protested over the same issue.
घर का देखो बजट बिल्कुल हिल गया, बिल्कुल हाउसवाइफ के लिए तो वेरी डिफिकल्ट।
गवर्नमेंट को देखना चाहिए, पंजाब सरकार जो हरियाणा सरकार है, वोटों से पहले इन्होंने रेट कम कर दिया था, अब ज़्यादा कर दिया। ये जितनी मीडियम क्लास है ऊपर जोर पड़ता है।
Accusing the BJP government of betraying people by increasing fuel prices 9 times in 10 days, the Congress has asked its state units to protest in their respective district headquarters between April 2nd to 4th. It has also asked for dharnas at the state headquarters on April 7th. In New Delhi with Arvind, Priyanshi Sharma for NDTV.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin met with Prime Minister Modi on Thursday, and sources tell NDTV that he discussed the dire economic condition in Sri Lanka and proposed relief measures including sending food and medicines from Tamil Nadu to the island state. And Stalin is on a 3-day visit to Delhi where he met Sonia Gandhi as well.
I just came to say, Honour Trump, we'll meet on Saturday.
Tamil Nadu's quota in jobs and education for the Vaniyar community was cancelled on Thursday by the Supreme Court, which called it unconstitutional and a violation of the right to equality. The Vaniyar community was given 10.5% reservation in government jobs and educational institutions through a law enacted last year. The law, Vaniyar Reservation Act 2021, was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. The top court upheld a Madras High Court order on the 1st of November, setting aside the quota handed by the AIADMK-led government that was in power in Tamil Nadu at that time. Shifting focus to Rajasthan, a local BJP leader in the state has been arrested for instigating a mob to harass a doctor after the death of a patient in a private hospital she owned. The doctor, who was accused of murder, died by suicide on Wednesday, leaving behind a heartbreaking suicide note where she asserted her innocence.
The suicide of a lady doctor in Rajasthan's Dausa, which led to widespread protests, is now acquiring political overtones. The 42-year-old lady doctor Archana Sharma committed suicide as she was charged with murder after one of her patients, a pregnant woman, died while delivering a baby. The dead woman's family, accompanied by a mob, came and demonstrated outside her hospital. They only left after the police filed a case of murder against Dr. Archana Sharma and her husband. Distraught, Dr. Sharma committed suicide, leaving behind a tragic note in which she wrote that the death of the pregnant woman was not her fault, that the pregnant woman died due to postpartum hemorrhage. She also wrote in the letter that she made all efforts to save the pregnant woman. "Don't harass innocent doctors," she wrote in capital letters in the suicide note, and said her death would prove her innocence. She also asked the authorities not to harass her husband and 2 young children after she was gone. The doctor's family has blamed local BJP leaders for instigating the pregnant woman's family against them.
उनको बर्खास्त किया जाना चाहिए। 302 उन्होंने लगाई कैसे? सारे उनको बर्खास्त किया जाना चाहिए। और दूसरी बात, ऐसा कोई सिस्टम बने विधानसभा में भले ही कानून पास हो कि अस्पतालों के आगे मोताना मांगने की जो प्रथा है ये बंद होनी चाहिए। मेरी पत्नी तो चली गई, वो तो अब कभी नहीं आएगी, पर कोई और डॉक्टर ना बने।
2 people, including a local BJP leader, Jitendra Gotwal, have been arrested after the chief minister stepped in and said tough action would be taken against those who harassed the doctor couple.
इनका आरोप है कि भीड़ को उकसाने का काम किया है, लोगों को भ्रमित करने का काम।
इनके पास इस तरह की कोई वीडियो पुलिस के पास हो कि मैंने उकसाने का काम किया है तो मैं जीवन में राजनीति छोड़ दूंगा।
But the police say they have evidence of the presence of these people with the mob at the hospital.
पुलिस ने जो वीडियो जब्त किए हैं, उस वीडियो में कुछ लोगों को पहचान की गई है और 36 में जो नाम आए हैं उनमें से 2 नाम आरोपी मनोहर देरवा और जितेंद्र गोपाल, उनको गिरफ्तार किया।
And with the doctor fraternity keeping up the pressure on the case and the arrest of a BJP leader, this incident could snowball further. In Jaipur, Harsha Kumari Singh, NDTV.
The anti-drugs agency, the NCB, has got a 60-day extension to file charge sheet in the drugs on cruise case. The agency had sought a 90-day extension. The NCB was supposed to submit the charge sheet on the 2nd of April. The agency in its plea cited a prime witness turning hostile as one of the reasons for its request to extend the deadline. Shah Rukh Khan's son Aryan Khan spent 22 days in jail in connection with this case.